Hey, everybody. Welcome to Elephant in the Room. This is our podcast where we talk Alabama Crimson Tide football, part of Disrupt the Media. And you know us from Roll Tide Pods. Like and comment. Give us a thumbs up. That's a way of saying Roll Tide. And thanks for being here. Hey, look, the show's presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Use the promo code next round, like my shirt here, football helmet shirt. Pretty sweet one, by the way, Joe. You guys can use that, mybookie.ag, up to 50% to $1,000 price match when you make that initial wager. And there's a lot of stuff to put down on right now, a lot of fun sports. Basketball has been really fun to watch in the SEC. You can do that. You can do the NBA. You can do NHL. Check it out for yourself. NFL playoffs are coming up, and you can do it all at mybookie.ag. And if you need some help with those picks, Lance's Locks got you over at lanceslock.com. Lance, fantastic handicapper, one of the great sharps that I know. So uses him as a tool to help you make better bets, win some money. I'm Mick Gillispie. It's great to see you, Jake Coker, Elephant in the Room, and here we go, man. What episode is this? Like 50? This episode?
It's got to be up there.
We've been pounding them out.
Way. Yeah,
we
come
have.
A long way.
I work hard. I get in here and I practice. What can I do to be a little better today?
You gonna keep dry January going into February or what?
Oh, here, let me take a sip of this. Yes. Yeah. Dry January. The thing about dry January was this, and I haven't had a beer. Although I did taste the kegerator to make sure that the CO2 was right.
You're finding ways to cheat. Yeah.
Right mix. If you would have called that cheating, it was just a sip. But
I'm sure it was.
Between that and the carb diet, man, I mean, like do
you feel better?
That's a great question. I've been doing dry January since Alabama lost. Started it the next day. I was at the Floribama on the 1st. Which I know you're jealous. I commentated the polar plunge, play by play. Of all the things that I've done in my career, being the lead broadcaster on the polar plunge was awesome.
Yeah, it
was awesome.
It's impossible to start dry January while commentating the polar plunge in Floribama.
They give you free beers and stuff.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. This is my favorite kind of beer. All the beer shows that I've done, the best ones were the free ones. So anyway, I started it, and it's not that I'm like running from alcohol. I'm just running from being fat, and and I just have to do this.
Well, the lack of the beer is what does it.
It is,
unless you work out really hard.
Well, and then Christmas,
through the holidays, try to work out hard enough to where I can eat whatever I want and drink whatever I want.
Yeah, that probably doesn't hurt that you were, professional athlete. Some of us are professional talkers, and it's now you're in the professional talking game. And as you do that, I'm sure that you're going to have to watch out for the professional talking body.
Oh yeah, it's contagious. That's for sure.
Yeah, you come in here, I'm going to load you up on as many beers as I can. But that's part of the fun, man. I mean, like I actually I did a beer show, a beer review show during COVID.
Yeah.
And we would get beers sent from all over the country and just taste them, and and they were like 8-minute shows.
Yeah.
And because there wasn't a whole lot of new content going on.
Do you have any trouble being honest? Feeling bad for the companies that sent you bad beer that even though they supported you? Yeah,
there was a couple times where I was like very diplomatic about it, but the guy I did the show with, Bricken, we got these beers sent from great brewery, R&R Brewery in North Carolina. It's in Mount Olive, North Carolina, where the Mount Olive pickles are made.
Yeah.
And so the first time that we got beers from there, they were great, man. But their signature beer is a pickle beer, right? Which is like pickle. There's different ways of doing a pickle beer. Pickle goses. You could do a pickle sour. There's a Wiggles.
Like too much.
Well, there's a Wiggles. I haven't tried this, but there's a Wiggles pickle beer that I've seen in the store. Wickle. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Wiggles. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wiggles. Okay. And I saw it and I was like, I don't know much about them. I know that when I've had their pickles, they're really good.
Yeah.
But that's twice. I mean, it's not like
But that in a beer just sounds. Oof.
Well, I haven't tried it yet, but we had the pickle beer. We're doing the show, and Bricken is like, takes a big swig and he's like, this is good. And then all of a sudden he's just like, and I look over and he's like, no, it's not. This is terrible. I got to leave. I start walking out. I'm like, sit down, man. Tell us why this beer's not good. I didn't think it was that bad, but he gave, he still gave the beer a decent score. And then that was one of his last beer shows. I think that the pressure of having to score those beers might have ended that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to appreciate those guys sending you the beer and then to just
let them down like that.
Shit on a courteous act is pretty tough.
I never did that. I didn't.
But, I mean.
I just lied. That's just like me. I was like, oh, this is, you know what?
So bad beer's a 7.
We would do it 1 to 5, and then you could go like quarter intervals, right? So it'd be like, really good beer would be like a great beer, and I didn't give out a whole lot of 5s. Would be a 5.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you some good ones. Bell's Two Hearted Ale, great IPA, right? That everybody would know about. Trim Tab did a beer one time.
What makes an IPA an
IPA? I guess the brewing process. It's more of a hoppy beer. They were made to basically be able to sail across from Britain to India and still have like flavor by the time they got there. So they're definitely a lot more like flavor and punch to these. But I loved that Trim Tab did one called the Theory of Abundance. I got a can of that, and then I was up there the next day buying a keg for the kegerator. So good, like when you find like a really great beer. They don't make it anymore, but they just made it that it was kind of like seasonal production.
Yeah.
So they did a good job. And I don't even know like what companies made, like what distributor they're with or they're not with, but we did them all. Didn't matter who they were. People were sending them from all over the country, and we got some really good ones, and we got some that weren't so good.
Yeah, I like some of those. Only beer that I really fell in love with. I like. Was it Dr. Juice? I like that.
Yeah,
one.
Yeah. Parish Brewing.
Yeah, I like Fat Tire. I like.
Parish Brewing did the worst beer we tried.
Really? Well, I guess that's another thing.
They did one of the best ones we tried too.
Yeah. I guess that'd be the only thing. I mean, these breweries that make good beers, that make bad beers.
They did the one. Do you remember the can? It was like it had the Crichton Leprechaun on there. It was white with the Crichton Leprechaun on it. It was the worst beer, and people started watching the show around here. Right?
Did you get it from the what's it called? The Irish pub over here?
Yes. Somebody's like, one of the bartenders was like, "I love your show. I got to give you this beer to do." And then we did it. We're like, this is the worst. It's the greatest can and the worst beer. The worst beer was the Salt Life beer. There was a Salt Life.
I never had that one either.
Don't buy it. That's the tip. Cool can, bad beer.
There's so many now. They're everywhere.
Well, that's why the show was popular.
Yeah. Well, like I told you, I buy a beer based on what the can looks like pretty much. I know nothing about them. We've talked. The one summer beer that I love getting, I drink, mostly Miller Lite when I'm on a weekend,
or light beer or whatever.
Yeah.
Coors Light, Bud Light, whatever's there.
Yeah, sure.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
You're just this. We're off to a great start.
You can't win with this guy.
No, we're off to a great start. Look at us. Shame.
But my father-in-law got me hooked on these just to mix it up beer. Those is it Line and Kugel or
Line and Kugel or whatever?
Yeah. The summer shandies.
Oh yeah. Why don't you just drink lemon juice? Now those are good.
It's great when it's hot.
Yeah, they are good. They do. They have a lot of sweet beers. One of the one of my favorites was they had this like chocolate porter type beer that was,
so you like that deep heavy.
It wasn't really that heavy. It was just sweet. But in the middle of winter, and it's cold. I was up in Chicago at the time.
On the back porch or something.
Yeah, right. When you're going to like smoke a cigar and you're just going to have like one beer.
Yeah.
Which is probably a new concept for you, but I'm just kidding. I'm kind of. Hey, can I get you a refill?
The show probably does. Golly, we look like alcoholics on this show, but
don't judge me.
We really do.
Don't judge me.
I don't drink a ton, but I do like a good time here and there.
Well,
for sure.
Don't ever apologize. I mean, because I'm with you on this.
There's a time and place.
Yeah, there is, and this is the time and the place.
Yeah, that's right.
The only thing that's missing is Ryan. We've been missing Ryan today.
Yep. Oh, Ryan, he's still down and out.
Yeah, well, look, it's been tough. And of course, Nick Saban retired over a week ago now. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. I've criticized him very little in his career because he's the best that's ever done it. But I wish that he would have been more strategic with his exit strategy. It wasn't calculated in my mind, and not that it would have made that much of a difference. I don't know. But as I watch Caleb Downs and Trey Amos and one after the other, you wonder
if it's almost like they felt. And look, here's my outlook on the reason Coach Saban did retire is because he, from what I heard, he had one more, like his whole family was kind of on board with one more year. We're all in it for one more year if you want to, and his big hang up was promising these kids that he'd be around and he's recruiting them, and he couldn't do that.
Right.
And it is a hard thing to do, to go and sell something that you don't believe in, And
right, you're not even going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, you're recruiting a kid to come there, and you're not even going to oversee his future, his collegiate future, So, I mean, struggling with that, and you got one more year left. I mean, you might as well call it quits, especially if you feel that bad about it, which I think speaks a lot to his character,
Yeah.
I don't think he really thought he was going to retire this year up until a couple weeks ago, when everything kind of came to fruition and he started thinking about the ramifications of recruiting kids and their futures. And that's, like I said, I mean, he's been the figurehead for college football for a long time, and that decision-making says a lot about the reason that everybody loves him.
Yeah, look, I know it was time.
Yeah.
I told you that. I mean, if you can't figure out how to get a guy to snap the football and you're him, and it's a whole season of it, that's just not what we've grown accustomed to with him. I mean, he doesn't let stuff like that go. Like he's the most integral, the guy that always figures out all of that stuff. But you get old and it's tough to do that, man. It's tough for me to go outside and throw football for a half an hour. I mean, I'm not even 70, So, I mean, I get it. And it's not that well, I think that if he would have had the same assistant coaches every year, it would have been different. But you got to teach all those guys too, man. There's not enough time in the day.
But to that point, that's one of those it was just such I think he out-coached. I think he did as good a job as he's ever done. It was just some small details that I think were very hard to perfect, and the snapping the ball like that is as easy as it sounds to fix. If you've got a guy that's jacked up in the head that has the yips or whatever you want to call it, I mean, you don't. And again, the playing center is one of the hardest positions on the field. You got to know what everybody's doing all the time, and you got to direct all of your linemen, get everybody on the same page, and it's not easy to just find another guy that can do that at that level.
Or pour a beer like that. No, I'm with you, man. I mean, look, I'm not saying I could have done a better job. I'm just saying that over the course of the season,
to watch
25 snaps that were bad, I mean, just isn't. That's just not up to his standard.
I mean, we saw it over the last few years, and David Pollock wasn't all wrong when he said that we didn't seem as disciplined as we have in the past.
Right.
I think he said that a year or two ago.
Yeah.
But again, it's Coach Saban at 70. Was he 72?
72 going on 73. It's just hard, man.
Coach Saban at 72 is still better than 99.9% of the coaches out there.
Oh, dude, you're 100%.
You know,
right. Yeah.
I mean, it's just
look. He still could have won a championship next year.
Oh yeah.
I'm not taking that away from him. I'm just saying that his standards are different than normal people's standards.
Oh yeah. I mean,
think about it.
When we were when I was playing, and again, each player from 2 years prior to that is always going to say, "Oh, he was so much tougher than when y'all got here. He's gotten a little softer." I mean, I never saw a soft side of him, really. You know, I mean, he was funny, made jokes, and he was personable, but I never saw him show any weakness in terms of being disciplined around that facility. And guys, I mean, you had to wear, the same color socks, same length, same cleats, everything had to be the same. I saw him rip a guy's ass in a walkthrough because his shoes came untied. I mean, just stopped the whole deal and cussed him out for a minute or two straight.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, good God,
What did you get from that, though?
That every detail mattered.
Boom. That's my point.
Oh, no.
You just made my point for me.
No, and I'm not disagreeing with
I know,
your point.
but I'm just saying that's how he always was. We always heard that.
Oh, I know. But my only thing about that is, I mean, snapping the ball is just such a mental thing that I don't know if.
Well, think about this, though. You just made another point, like all the Jermaine Burton penalties and stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't have that before. We just it's different, man. I know college football's changed. I love him. I'm so appreciative of what he did. I just wish he would have went to Greg Byrne first and been like, tomorrow, not like I'm going downstairs right now. That's all I'm saying. He's normally more calculated. Maybe he thought he would. Maybe he thought if he had a day to think about it, he might not do it.
But this is something he's never done before. You know, I mean, retiring's one thing that nobody has ever done before, usually, unless you're Brett Favre. But I mean, this is something that he has zero experience with, doesn't really know how to go through that transition process. And I think he probably did what, he's fighting hey, what's best for Alabama? What's best for these recruits? What's best for my family? And you merge that together and do the best you can.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, I think he probably wants to coach for 10 more years, but your family needs and there's a lot more important things going on for him than football, and
college game day.
We get caught up in how important he is as a state, but he's got his own personal needs too,
Well, that's what I think for him. I don't remember if I talked about this last show, but from the time I left college at Alabama until 2020, I worked every summer. I did play-by-play in baseball. I mean, every day. It's an everyday job.
Yeah.
And I missed weddings and funerals and birthdays, my birthday, like just on the road doing the games, And then 2020 happened and, we end up, moving down here and going to the beach a lot and, and kind of taking life differently. And I realized like, I love doing my job, man. I mean, I love it.
Oh, yeah.
But I also love being a dad. I also love going to a birthday party or a wedding. And then I didn't realize like the impact that it had on other people too, that I didn't go to all their stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And and I've tried to since then be a lot more focused on just my personal time, and making sure that I don't make my entire life being a play-by-play guy, which I don't anymore. I do this kind of stuff, which is fun. I'm just not, I'm different now.
Oh yeah.
And for him, I've never seen anybody that is so focused on, and goal regimented and has the ability to put aside success to keep doing the things that he needs to do to be successful. The only way he's ever going to get any of that time is to get away from football.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know how to back up and say, hey, you know what? You're going to do this. It's more than delegating.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, I can delegate a lot of my job. He can't do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of like that saying that he has, if you know, if you want to be happy for an hour, eat a steak. You want to be happy for a day, play golf. Happy for a week, go on a cruise. But, you know, if you're going to be happy throughout your lifetime, when you leave somewhere, are people going to miss you or not?
Yeah, it's a true thing, man.
Oh, it's so true. I mean, that's you know, when you sit here and talk about, you know, what's meaningful to you, what's important, but I mean, really the effect you have on people. And if they're going to miss you being around, that says a lot about you and what you've accomplished in terms of affecting other people.
Yeah,
you know,
man, you're exactly right.
And you look at what we've been talking about the last week or since he retired. It's been, I mean, a really sad time for a huge amount of people.
And it's been a very happy time for a huge amount of people.
That's right. That's right.
MFers. You know, there's been the hate, dude. The hate, I can't stand it, man.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of haters out there.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll be back. Not to that extent.
Well, it's different now. You know, this guy, the new coach has to deal with some stuff. First off, he's building a staff. And what I think that he's done a really good job of is he's building a staff of people that he knows and he trusts.
Yeah.
Because one of the problems that I think Alabama football had was we had so many coaches leaving, and it was like, you know, hey, we're going to Georgia, we're going to Ole Miss, we're going, and all of a sudden, like a lot of the stuff going on in the clubhouse was getting out.
Oh, yeah.
You got to have, you need to have, like, your clubhouse needs to be like this.
Yeah.
You know?
And what does it say about him that he can hire staff that quickly?
He's a great
and
guy.
That many guys that
that's right.
were at Washington wanted to come to Alabama.
We'll see too with the players.
I mean, Ryan Grubb, that guy, he was talked about as being a head coach in some places. I mean, his name has gotten national notoriety.
Yep.
He could have done whatever he wanted. I mean, you know, that's not like he's going to be the head coach at Texas next year, but he could have gotten a head coaching job somewhere.
Yeah.
And he chooses to come to Alabama and be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, Kane Wommack, that's one of his best friends, apparently, and he left a head coaching job where he's making really good money in Mobile, Alabama, and just building his resume, and takes the defensive coordinator job at Alabama with an immense amount of pressure because, I mean, most likely the perception that he's going to put out there or get, whether, I mean, even if it's not earned, is going to be underachieving in comparison to the best that's ever done it.
Yep.
And so this is probably the worst time for anybody to be a defensive coordinator at Alabama.
Yep.
Especially when your head coach isn't a defensive guy.
Yeah. It's on you.
So everything falls on you, which says a lot about Kane as well.
And he's not the only one. Maurice Linguist came from Buffalo as a head coach. Here's a guy that's the co-defensive coordinator, is going to be working with the DBs. I went and watched some of his interviews, and I was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah.
You're talking about a guy that was a coach in the NFL, that was a coach. He was the defensive coordinator for Michigan. He was a player at Baylor, you know, like, but just listening to him and watching him, I'm a good judge of people. And you can just tell this guy's got it together.
Yeah.
To leave a head coaching job to be the co-defensive coordinator tells you something.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, we got a lot of potential, and look, we still got, I mean, Clinton Dix is still there. Jamie Mosley's still there. Denzel Duvall's still there. You got guys there that are going to be able to support and recruiting and get a lot of guys to be excited about Alabama. I mean, we talked about it on the last podcast. It seems like gloom and doom, but I don't think it is. And one of the things you learn too is I think this NIL or look, I think players should get paid. I think it's a shit show right now. I think there should be contracts. You should have to fulfill your duties as a player for a certain period of time if you're going to get paid. And I know the structure of that's all jacked up because money can come from everywhere right now. But what does it say about, you got your Isaiah Bonds. We've talked about him. It's all about money with him. You can't. I don't know if he's a good kid or a bad kid. I've never met him. I'm not attacking his character at all, but when you run into it, like I've said, when you run into a guy that makes it all about money, it's not about winning in relationships. It's hard to trust it's just hard to trust a guy that could up and leave you just for a bigger paycheck.
Let me go on Shank's X account. I wanted to say Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm going to say X because it's X now. Alphonse Taylor, Shank, one of the all-time great social media people, right up there with Donald Trump.
Can we call him and see if we can't get a one-liner out of him?
I love this. I'm going to read this for you. We need to get him in here.
Let me call him real quick.
Well, you call him, and I'm going to read his tweet, okay? Players transfer every day. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is being one game away from the national championship game, and instead of running it back, you transfer. On top of that, you get a coach who just was in the national championship game. It's no longer about winning.
That sums it up. I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's not about the goal and the buddies you've built relationships with and trying to be a part of something. It's just
it's sad, man.
Yeah.
Isn't the dream to do what you guys did and hoist the trophy at the end of the year, to have a championship ring that somebody could come in here and say, hey, I'll give you $200,000 for it. And you're like, nope, 300,000. Nah, 400,000. You know what? I'm not for sale. You know, because it has that much of because there's more than money in life.
But
how about 500,000? Would you take that?
when Jalen Milroe, when Booker, when Malachi walk out on that field next year, they need to announce them individually so that the fans can just cheer them. Those are the guys that need to be. Alabama needs to prioritize and get paid, because, I mean, how much does that say about them that, they're staying with Alabama. They love Alabama. They love the culture, and they want to see Alabama do well.
Right.
You got to reward guys like that.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the kind of guys that build your program, that build the foundation, that further the culture and make it a more unified place. And it just, to me, those are the kind of guys that when you think about Alabama football, those are the kind of guys you want on the team. And I know we've talked about the offensive line last year, and especially early in the year, we're tired of hearing them talk and wanted to see something on the field. But man, I tell you that you'll never hear me say anything negative about Booker from the rest of the time he's there. That to me just cements his character with me more than anything else could.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've always liked him.
That guy can pretty much do no wrong with me.
Yeah.
Jalen Milroe too. Malachi Moore. I mean, Malachi Moore.
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith. Yes.
Gotta thank you, Devontae. And both Devontaes, but that one on, the one that's on the team right now. We need everyone that can step up to step up.
Yeah.
Because if you guys haven't noticed, we are under assault. We're under siege right now.
Yeah.
And when I see Lane Kiffin, rumors that he's in Tuscaloosa trying to pick up players and stuff like that, if that's true, it could just be him, kicking around. But Kite transferring to Auburn, these guys transferring to Georgia. It's not like they're just going and finding a different school. They're going to our arch rivals, man.
How much?
How about the guy that goes to Auburn? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
I'd feel like he'd need to pull the knife out of my back.
Yeah.
I mean, which has been done before, but yeah, I just can't imagine. How do we know how much more Texas is paying Isaiah Bond?
I have no idea.
And that's the one that just sticks out.
But he's got a Lamborghini lease now. Apparently, it's a lease. I'm sure they didn't give him a word on the street. Is that the Lamborghini's a lease?
So you basically got nothing. I mean, you get to drive around a cool car for a little bit.
You look cool. Yeah. It's like when you go to the beach or Vegas. You know what I mean? You're seeing that?
I mean, that's the cheapest offer ever.
Yeah.
Just
that guy. The thing about him is that he walked away from a legacy that for the rest of his life, he was going to be important to Alabama. Now he's the biggest turncoat that I ever remember. And I've tried to go back in my mind and think about, and it's not fair. I mean, he's just one of the guys that's leaving.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, in the fan base's mind.
That's the one that hurts the most because he would have been on one. I don't know if he's going to be on one of these now.
He is.
But, I mean,
repaint the thing.
That'll be the least sold Daniel Moore out there, I would think.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of them were sold before, but I've tried to tell people that it's still a great moment and it's still a great print, and Milroe's still on there. I mean, we've not taken him off. Plus, I mean, come on, it was, even though Bond it has basically sold out. This is what we called it when I was growing up. That's fine. You sold out. You do you. But I'm not going to let that moment be affected by that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
People used to have a problem selling out.
But you
know what I mean? That's not like that anymore.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I agree.
A business decision.
Well, it's all for a lot of
Caleb Downs. Guy's an All-American, Sean Alexander Award winner, SEC Freshman of the Year, playing on the team. He's already getting paid. He's making money. And he's going to go to Ohio State or Georgia, apparently.
Yeah.
And look, by the time people are watching this, we'll find out. I hope he stays. He's a great football player. He's really, really great. It is scary to think that your safety had more tackles than your linebackers, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. That is scary.
By double too, man.
Well, how many of these guys do you think are entering the portal just to, basically like a coach pretending that he's looking to go somewhere else just for an extension or more money?
Well, if they do that, then he's the guy I'm paying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's the guy I'm paying. I mean, I think I really would like to have him back. And maybe you sell a lot of his merch.
Yeah.
I mean, Alabama's got to do a better job at capitalizing on a lot of the things that they do. The in-stadium concessions need to be run better because you can make more money out of that. They need to go, and I'm sure a lot of colleges are the same way. Go look at what the big league baseball teams are doing or the NFL football teams. Go learn from the best of the best. Don't make it a throwaway anymore. Make it where it's like not only are you offering more, but you're charging more for it. Hey, here's beer, and then you got it's like $15 a beer. I mean, come on, man. Do it as a business.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just
standing in line for 30 minutes to get a Diet Coke. I mean, running out of pretzels and hot dogs, which we talked about before. If you're grading,
been there before.
You're grading the experience that you have. It's just not a great experience. It's a good experience. And I'm talking about college football games in general. You go to the NFL, it doesn't compare, man. NFL seats are nice. You pay a little more most of the time, but you're not in line very long, but now the products are equivalent because of now you're paying the guys. We're getting away without paying people for a long time. Been getting free labor for a long time. We talked about that.
Which, look, I'm all for NIL. I think
I mean, it's a great way. It's like you said with pro throw. I mean, the guy, when you see him, he's still limping, and it's sad to see that he wasn't
one of
able
my favorites, man.
He wasn't able to capitalize on some of that. At least you think he'd have made enough money to buy a house with cash from college.
Yeah.
And that right there, I mean, just you might as well add I don't know, 30 grand to your salary after taxes.
Yeah, I know. Like we're so worried about, like, you know, stuff like Title IX. What about worrying about the guy like him? Where was his protection?
Yeah.
You know, like his protection should have been, he's the guy out there doing the work.
Yeah.
You know, he's got to be compensated. So I'm not saying that I don't appreciate this. And you know this. Well, it's just that there's got to be some rules, man.
It's going to have to get more economical for these schools if they're going to make that much money. And so Title IX is going to be, I would think it would be an issue because you have to make money to pay these players that generate the revenue.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's got to be.
You cannot pay for all these other amenities for other teams that, I mean, I've heard it a lot. I mean, basketball stands on its own pretty much, breaks even. Football pays for everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's what I've heard too.
I'm not diminishing other sports at all. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
they might have to have some fundraisers. Like we used to do. Did you ever do the fundraisers out there, like selling popcorn and knocking on people's? Hey, we're selling pizzas. We did pizzas one year. You know what I'm talking about? That you would get those pizza things and send it to them. Candy. We had to sell all that stuff. Grapefruits or Boy Scouts. And the reason I'm saying that, and I'm kidding, but I'm being serious too, is that normally when you have a budget deficit, you want to spend this much, right? Your women's basketball, you got a coach that, I mean, the whole thing's bad. You know, you're not winning much. You got some good players. Jay Barker's daughter's a great player, you know, so it's not directed at the players, but the program's been bad for a long time. But they spend this and they generate this, you know, to make it make sense. Now that you got to compensate the players for football that have been bringing in all the money, you know what? Maybe they need to go out and figure it out. Baseball's the same way, and I love baseball.
Yeah.
Love it. It's my favorite game. But at Alabama, when I was broadcasting the games, Wednesday games might have like 300 people.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't even open the stadium if you were trying to make a profit for 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And then I look at softball and I'm like, man, maybe everybody needs to learn from this guy because that's what it's supposed to look like. People showing up and, you know, maybe
people are excited.
Maybe put more seats out there.
Yeah. I'd go to, I
love
softball games.
Fast games.
I thought it was fun. Yeah.
It's, you know, and when you're in that world,
it has nothing to do with
it's not personal.
What sport or who the player. It's all economics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. You know, if you make something entertaining enough for people to spend their money to go and enjoy the moment, then, you know, that's one thing. If you're operating at a loss, then that's pretty tough to justify, you know, especially when, again, to compete, to keep your cash cow going, you got to add a lot more payroll.
Yep.
So, I mean, eventually it all catches up. Basically what we're saying. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
But again, it's the Coach Saban's right. Hopefully he gets more involved in this deal and really is able to help because, well, when I was a freshman in college, I knew that I didn't want to be a college coach.
Right.
I mean, away from your house all the time, recruiting, you're listening to, you know, you got kids that want you, a grown man, to kiss your feet in order to get you to go to a school. I couldn't do that. There's no way.
What's the recruiting process like when you're hot? When you got hot, what was that like?
I mean,
you probably hated it.
Well, I mean, I was going to Alabama. Like it was a.
But what about Florida State though? Even the same thing. I mean, we talked about it before, but once you were kind of
it. Yeah, I hated it because you know it's such a when you like my parents, they did as good a job as you could have possibly done without knowing how the recruiting process worked, because it's so confusing and you got so many people pulling at you from different directions and one parent talks to this coach and some of that message gets misconstrued somehow on accident, and the communicate. Everybody's wants the best for their kids. Their kids never made a decision like this before, and you're trying to please everybody in your family, trying to make the right choice. And I was committed to Florida State early, and in my eyes, I saw a commitment as a commitment, and I wasn't changing that. And then you realize that some of the things change in recruiting too. Coaches promise you one thing at one point, and then something happens and things may change. And so I used to think that these kids that decommitted, I was like, what's wrong with you? You committed to a coach, that's where you ought to go. But when I went through it, I realized that there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of things that are said day one aren't the same as the day before signing day. So when I was able to sign and get it over with, I was like, thank God this is over.
Yeah.
Because again, you just have so many people coming at you. And when I was in high school going to Florida State, everybody was calling me a this and that for picking Florida State over Alabama. So
really?
It was tough.
What was the this and that? Anything good?
Your standard 4-letter words.
Yeah. I love those. Do you ever read like the articles that were written about you ever? Like,
no, I try to avoid all that. Again, when I was playing, I stayed away from
that?
Twitter and all that. That was
the higher up you get. Well, the more people that pay attention to you, the more shit talkers there are, And the hardest thing is this, I try to answer all the mail on my channel.
Yeah.
But I have to be in the right mood. If I'm hungry or in a bad mood, I might just chop somebody's head off on there. It's all about perspective, Like sometimes when people make fun of me, I love it,
Oh, yeah.
Other times when I'm hungry or I got an issue going on and I'm reading about what an asshole I am, it's like, what do you like?
The guy Ryan sent that screenshot of the guy that commented on our show that said I cuss too much.
Yeah, I said fuck that. I'm just kidding. That guy, I'm just kidding. That was just a joke. Have you ever thought about I know we got to get back to football, but have you ever thought about just like going to some random ass stand-up bar and doing a 5-minute set of stand-up comedy? I've thought about that.
No, I couldn't do it.
You could do it.
I could not do it.
And we should be like Penn and Teller and come up with an act. I've always thought about it would be fun. Like it would be intimidating, but if you had planned it out, be funny.
That's a tough thing to do. I can't imagine it. You talk about being in the right mood. You would have to be in the right mood. 100% of the time. Tell you
this, it wouldn't be dry January.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I've when I first got out of football, I did a few speeches, and I'm a Q&A guy. Feel really good about Q&As.
Do you ever get up there and freeze? Like you just like this? Like, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to bring on the 2015 national champion. He was a 3-star recruit out of Mobile, Alabama. Give it a big hand for Jay Cochran, right? And then you just get up there and you're just like,
no,
you see that guy in the front row, like somebody's yawning in the back,
oh yeah, but
sucks.
Oh yeah, I've always I always get up there and just try to wing it, and then I get up there and I start thinking about all the things that I was planning on saying, and then I forget half of it, and I'm like, all right, time to ask questions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it was fun playing football. I threw the ball, they caught it, but a lot of times I handed the ball off, and it ended up in the end zone. So I was real good at that.
Roll Tide.
Got tackled a few times. Roll Tide. Questions? Anybody got a question? When you do the question and answer, you take the risk that no one's going to ask a question, or there's always that person that asks. And they used to tell us, they say, there's no such thing as a bad question. You ever remember that? You ever heard anybody say that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's an out and out lie.
They're wrong.
That is an out and out lie. There is a bad question. There's a lot of them people ask. Now, there's some great ones too. You know, like I'll say this. Like,
well, the worst of the questions that are posed as a question, but they're really a statement.
Yes.
And it's a guy that thinks he knows everything.
Yeah.
You know, he's basically, you know, trying to prove a point with a so-called question.
I've been there before. When I would do the Cubs convention panels, and I'm up on stage and we get into the question and answer, and there's this one guy that was at every one of them.
Yeah.
And then I would see them, like they would all line up behind the microphones, and I'd go, you know, this aisle, this aisle, this aisle, this, and I did it for years.
Oh yeah.
And I'd see that guy and it'd be like, shit. And then he'd get up there and he'd do that exact thing. And it'd be like he was like just up there filibustering. And then people would start going, that's a good question. You know, like, and I'm just trying to be Mr. Nice Guy.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, what's your question? And he'd be like, after up there talking and talking and talking, he'd be like, do you like the white uniform or the blue one?
Yeah. You know? There's always I'm in the Red Elephant Club in Mobile, and Coach Saban comes to that meeting once a year, and he makes a speech and fields questions, and I've been in it for about 3 years, and there's one guy that shows up, and won't name drop, but Ryan and I, we know him. And
what do you call him? What's his nickname?
Jackass.
Jackass. Let's just call him Jack for the show.
Okay. So
we'll call him Jack for that person.
But every time he shows up, I'm like, yes, because he's going to ask something that Coach Saban's going to just rip his ass.
Oh, yeah. I love that about Coach Saban.
Oh, yeah. No, he gets
love that.
That
meeting, miss that.
That meeting's great because it's, you know, you keep everything within that room and he just let it fly. And, man, you asked a dumb question, man. He didn't care who you were. He didn't even know your name, and he
just get you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Gonna miss that because I don't think Coach DeBoer is that type of guy.
No, especially, I mean, he's not going to have the heavy hand down here for a while unless he, you know.
I worry about that. You know, when Saban came in, he kind of got the fact that our athletic department needed somebody to come in like the Wild West and be the sheriff. And it took that personality, and I just hope that we don't take advantage of this guy being a great guy.
He understood what a championship program looked like.
Yeah, he did.
And so when he came in, nobody at Alabama had seen that since 92. And nobody had seen that consistently in a really long time. So he came in and he was I mean, even in the hiring process, you know, he was like, all right, this is what we need. This is what we need. This is what we need. And if you can't get that done, I'm not coming. And they just said, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, and made it happen and let him run the show, you know?
Well, we've got some breaking news here, so you'll know when we were recording this. The first commitment for Coach DeBoer.
Washington, D.B.?
No.
Washington O-lineman?
No. 4-star quarterback Austin Mack, who's transferring from Washington to Alabama.
Really?
6'6", 230. He's got 4 years of eligibility. Not a position that I thought we would.
What year is he?
I guess if he's got 4 years, he's a freshman, so he didn't play last year behind Penix.
Man, that's kind of crazy.
I don't know that I would have made that my first commitment. I probably would have had that one maybe once you had like, you know, I'd say maybe a center, an offensive lineman, maybe some guys on defense that play corner. But then again, this could be the first of a wave of guys because if this coach is that popular there and all those guys on the transfer portal, we need players.
I think by the time this is all said and done in 2 or 3 weeks, I say said and done, I think in 2 or 3 weeks we'll have a lot of Washington guys come on. But when you mix that physicality with the West Coast style, it could be pretty dangerous.
It could be. It could be like that time that Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre got together. You remember those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I remember those guys.
Yeah.
I don't know which songs you're talking. I mean, I've probably heard them, but
yeah. It was a revolution back then. Yeah, let's hope so. You know, they're both from the West Coast, but it was Compton and Long Beach coming together. Somebody's laughing with me right now. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. It's the absurdity of it to him. But for you guys, you know what I'm talking about. I am kidding, but I hope so, man. I mean, I hate seeing all the guys leaving. I'm afraid that, I'm just so paranoid about every decision that's made. They did have a quarterback transfer out, in Holstein. But you've got Milroe.
Well, Lonergan and Sayin are the two guys that I think were seen as the future.
Me too. I thought so too. Lonergan. I mean, I've heard nothing but great things about him.
I don't know how you can't play Milroe next year. I mean, that guy, he's doing so much for the program, and he's a leader in that locker room. Yeah, I mean, it'd be tough to replace.
They'll
Milroe.
figure it out.
I mean, he's just. I don't know. To me, and this was my philosophy for, really Coach Saban quarterbacks, at least in the era that I was playing, and I'm not diminishing the quarterback position at all. Quarterback is all about the players around you. I don't care what you say. If you got really the only college quarterback I've ever seen carry a team that without him probably would not have won a national championship was
Cam Newton.
Yeah. I mean, it
was easy.
And that team went 3-9 the next season.
That was a great year.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, you don't play well unless you've got players around you. And basically you're a distributor to the best players on the field. And as long as you're a leader, you can influence guys, get them to play hard, and get them to play the best that they can play, then at Alabama you're going to be okay. And that's why I say Milroe being that big of a leader, man, if he can get those guys playing to the best of their ability, it's going to be hard to replace him.
Are we worried about this because it's change, or are we worried about this with the guys transferring out? Obviously, we're going to have guys transfer in, new coach and everything, because we need to be worried.
I mean, I think everybody gets worried when they're, it's like, hell, if you got a boss, you're always worried if he gets fired and you don't know who the next guy is going to be and how things are going to be done. You've been doing it for so long this way, and there's stability. I think but basically it presents itself as being unstable because we've got guys leaving, and you got the portal, and it's a nightmare. But we hadn't even given this guy a month to figure it out yet at the most complex position in the country in terms of college football.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, it's not like we're Texas. We don't have 80 billionaires living within our state that are Alabama alumni. So we don't have the pocketbook that some of these other schools have. We've got to win. We got to be grinders, win games with grit, and you until DeBoer proves himself as a guy that is stable, can win a lot of games every year. It may be a little tough. It's going to be a grind, but the instability is what scares everybody.
Yeah,
and you got your star players that you thought were leaders and loved Alabama that are leaving. So
they didn't love Alabama. They loved Nick Saban. They loved the prestige of playing for the best coach of all time. Like, we love Alabama. You loved Alabama so much it bothered you not to be there. I came to Alabama and went back to Maryland, came back because I was like, this is the best place I've ever been.
Yeah.
Like, the minute that I walked on campus, like, I never wanted to leave. I don't understand how those guys don't have that same feeling. I guess I don't know. I can't imagine, like, and maybe I'm just like short-sighted, because of maybe my love of Alabama.
Yeah. I think you get guys in different periods of their career and college athletics. And for me, I don't get it for the guys that are starting and playing and have already created a legacy at Alabama. Like, I would think that they would be all in with the institution itself, because I always loved Alabama, but when I actually got to start and play, that was a whole nother level of just obsession with Alabama. There's nothing like being a contributor to the team and not a backup, but a guy who actually plays with and gets out on that field and gets banged up and goes to all the training and rehab sessions with all your teammates, and you're all banged up, and it's a brotherhood, and you're excited about getting out there and playing the next week and sacrificing your body for the guy right beside you. There's something infectious about that I loved every minute of it. And so I don't know, to just step away from a core group of guys like that, when you're getting NIL money, you're getting playing time, it just makes no sense to me. Again, relationships to me matter far more than money. Now, I mean, if I'm a backup and I'm not making any money and somebody offers me something, a good bit of money to go somewhere else, and I think it might help me in the future, I mean, I don't know, I might think about it. But if I'm playing and I've got the coaches behind me and the whole program, the fan base, I just don't see that as a situation that I want to leave and go somewhere else. I just love that unity and that cohesiveness with a group of guys that you trust and you've shared those memories with.
Is it going to take Alabama losing for people to get motivated to build the NIL?
I would have thought that the guys leaving right now just seeing this mass exodus from key guys would do that. Just that fear of losing that. When you think about what it does to your Saturday, being able to watch Alabama play all these teams and be successful and be excited about the SEC championship, be excited about the playoff. I mean, when I go somewhere, somebody's stopping me to talk about Alabama football. It's such a big part of everybody's life.
Yeah.
And it's something that's so exciting to get ready for on a Saturday, to grill out, to hang out with your friends and family. And it impacts everybody that has any interest in football at all. I mean, when you talk to somebody on a weekend during college football season, what percentage of those conversations include Alabama football?
Yeah,
100%.
always. Well, I love the fact that you can go anywhere and people are ready to talk Alabama football.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't matter where you're from, what neighborhood you're in. Like, there's Alabama football fans.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's such and this is going to sound, I guess a little hokey, but when I hear the Sweet Home Alabama song, it's like I almost get chills just thinking about how fun it was to be a part of Alabama football and be able to live that dream, and when you hear that song in the stadium, it just takes you back, I don't know, just so many memories that I've got that take me back to that place. It's a lot more than football. It's crazy what a little leather football did to change my life, and especially just the Alabama program. Can't pay it back.
Is there anyone that left that you're looking at right now going, man, I hate that they're not going to be around anymore? And I'm guessing one guy, and I don't even know if he had a job, Joe Pendry. People love that guy.
I love Joe. I love Coach Pendry.
Oh, I don't even know him. I just know, like, from talking to you
Call
guys.
him the Wizard.
Everybody loves Joe Pendry.
Oh, yeah.
He was like Saban's guy,
If you had a question, anything about football, he was like, sit down, buddy. I got you. Hand me that marker.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the first day I walked in, I remember he was asking me football questions, and I was like, am I this dumb? Like, I feel like I know nothing, because he's talking about all these techniques and different ways to block fronts. And I think he's a West Virginia guy too. I'm almost certain he's a West Virginia guy. Yeah. But just a tough old guy too. Him and I know him and Coach Trickett were really good buddies. So yeah, I think he's a West Virginia guy, but man, he's just old school smart, just understands the game. He's just one of those guys that, like I said, you can just bounce anything off of him, and he's going to have an answer.
Yep. He started his coaching career at West Virginia, and he played football. He's from Welsh, West Virginia. Those West Virginia guys, a lot of you spent a lot of time around West Virginia football coaches.
Yeah.
Jimbo, Nick,
Coach Trickett,
Pendry.
Coach Saban, Coach Pendry.
The crazy thing is,
Just
popular
old school, hard nosed guys.
Yeah. I spent some time in Huntington, and that's where Marshall is.
Yeah.
And they're like, they want to beat West Virginia so bad in football. West Virginia won't play them a lot, but they play some.
Well, because Randy Moss and Spencer Pennington beat them.
No, they didn't. They played them. Randy Moss went crazy in the game, but they lost. I don't think West Virginia's ever lost to Marshall in football. I'll check that, but it's a different world in
Clint
there. Clint
Trickett is at Marshall now.
Is he?
Yep, Coach Trickett's son.
They did what they call the thunderclap there, at Marshall.
Okay.
You don't know about that? The Friends of Cole Bowl.
They call it the Cole Bowl?
Friends of Cole.
Huh.
Yep, I was right for once. 12-0 West Virginia. Think about it. Since 1911, they've only played 12 times. West Virginia, man, you guys got to play that game more. The problem is when Randy Moss was there, West Virginia was good, I think. Oh, look, in 1923, West Virginia beat them 81-0.
Jeez. Yeah,
September 10th, 2010, though, it was a 24.
Pat White's from here.
Yeah. I met Pat White's cousin or uncle or something outside here one day.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great football player.
Apparently, he's a really good guy too.
Well, the guy that he's related to is the guy that owns the company that does all the septic tanks and stuff. Fantastic dude, man. I mean, I'm talking to the guy outside. Everybody keeps stopping, like, "Hey, Mr. So-and-so, look us up." One of those guys.
Those guys, you're like, okay, I can trust this guy.
He walks up to me, and I met him one time out here, and it's like we've known each other our whole life. Like Baron Huber's one of those kind of guys. How do they do that? You know what I'm talking about? Where they just break walls down.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite of that.
You were like, I don't know about this guy.
Yeah. A lot of times I'll meet people and I'm like, if they're too nice, I'm very cautious. I'd rather you have
making sure your wallet's still in your pocket.
Yeah. I'd like to have a little edge out of my friends, I'm a too good to be true guy, I guess.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
And maybe that's how our new coach is. Who knows? Maybe he's just Jeez, I'm just kidding. He's a nice guy. But how about a quarterback as your first, making it?
Hey, at this point, let's take what we can get.
You like that, huh?
Maybe,
there's a lot of heat going on right now on social.
I'm sure.
I just saw a tweet that said, "Does he play DB?"
Shit, man. Social media, that's the worst thing that ever happened to mankind.
Yeah.
I swear.
And it's just going to keep getting worse.
Oh, yeah.
Because our technology is getting better.
It's the worst thing that ever happened. That and the Kardashians.
Yeah. That's a group.
I cross the line there.
No, I'm just. You can take that so many ways, There's a lot to that.
Yeah, I guess.
You find any good new TV shows?
That's an inside joke.
We can't talk about that one.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I got to tell LT about some of these new shows that are out.
Yeah. He's probably on season 6.
Yeah, he might be. I'm gonna throw something your way and I'll fill you back up again. You gotta get another beer just because I went and got the CO2 for it the other day.
I hear you. What you got?
Man, you see, like where Greg Burns said Saban's role, like he's gonna have an office and he's gonna be like a consultant type guy or whatever. Do you think he's there helping right now, or do you think he's just like not helping? And how much do you think they're going to ask him?
I think he's probably freaking out right now.
He's got to be seeing this and going, "What the f's going on?"
Oh yeah, I think he's
right.
probably
What, you think
freaking
that?
out. I mean, I would think he'd be talking to Caleb Downs. I would think he'd be talking to all these guys, But I also think he's a little nervous about crossing a line with a new guy. I mean, kind of tough to hire a new guy after you've had the best coach of all time, and then that best coach of all time still hanging out, keeping his footprint on the program. At some point, it's got to be the new guy's program and his way. I don't think he wants to step on any toes, and he wants to help out as much as he can. But DeBoer's got to make his mark and create his own standard at Alabama at the same time. DeBoer's, hey, he's a big boy too. He's got to figure this out, and again, he's been here for 2 weeks, week and a half. I mean, looks like a shit show, but I think he picks it back together. He knows how to win. The guy's a winner.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. Look, I'm with you. I'm with you. If this was any other situation, this guy signed up for a lot.
Yeah, you got to have some balls to come in there and replace Coach Saban.
And what's happened is we're getting hit from every single angle right now because the rest of college football looks at it as a
This will be the worst time of the year for us.
Worst time.
This will be the worst moment in time under DeBoer's tenure as a coach. I mean, unless he loses a lot of games, but I just don't see that happening. And maybe this year could be a little rough, depending upon who leaves, who really actually leaves. But what do you expect from a new guy following Coach Saban who doesn't have time to create his program yet? I mean, it could be a rough year next year. It is what it is.
I hope not. We got some good games next year. I don't want to lose Wisconsin.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Georgia.
But DeBoer's, he's won with lesser teams throughout his career.
He has. So if you had some advice for him, I did a show on my channel and I said, I'm just going to give you some advice. And I started giving Kalen DeBoer advice. It was like, about the Iron Bowl, and I was kind of joking, but I was serious, just about how like you can't underestimate the hate that Auburn has for us. It's a fair statement.
Yeah.
And even Saban underestimated it. I heard him say it was just another game the first year. Then he lost. And you know what I never heard him say again? That's just another game.
Yeah.
You got to go through it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm going way back. I mean, I've been covering the guy since he got there, and I love him. But I thought, you don't know yet. You think that. You think it's just another game. Until they're
been around long enough.
Yeah, until you've been through it. And then all of a sudden it was like, I mean, like watching him after this year's game, he knows it's not just another game.
Oh, yeah.
He gets it.
Yeah.
But like, no matter how many times we tell you, Coach DeBoer, you don't know, you're not going to know until you know. Right?
It's going to be, he had to have gotten that when that airport had more people there to welcome him than there were at his spring game last year. I mean, you got to know this is a completely different world. It's the SEC is just, it's not the same as anywhere else in the country. And God, I can't. I'd love to hear his honest feedback after he goes through his first Iron Bowl. I'd love to hear his be like, "Hey, coach, in private, what'd you think?" Because he's going to be blown away by it. How could you not, being from Washington, or where's he from? He's South Dakota.
Yeah.
You go from that kind of football down here to where it runs in the water. You know, it's a different brand, but you know, to me, if I'm him, I'm trying to create unity with former players, bring as many guys back as possible for recruiting weekends. For, I mean, you use us as a recruiting tool. You know, have guys spend time with recruits and show them that it's a family atmosphere.
Yeah.
That it's a place where, you know, you'll never be forgotten by the staff that's there, and it's the same token, players want to come back and be involved and help as well, and this is far more than just an NIL deal.
Yeah.
You know, it's far more than just shopping these programs out and figuring out who's going to pay you the biggest paycheck. It's about a long-lasting legacy.
Yeah. People
from Alabama are willing to help you out after you're done.
Great point.
You know, there's support.
Man.
There's support. There's an umbrella of support all around Tuscaloosa and the whole state, throughout the country. You know, we want you to be here. We want you to love this place, and we want you to feel loved and welcomed. And that doesn't end after you play your last snap.
Right.
You know, that would be what I would say if I was going to give him some advice. Now, I mean, look, I'm not one to give advice to a head coach. I've never done it, but I know as a player, when I was coming through, it was pretty awesome to see Julio Jones and Mark Ingram and guys that had been there and done that. And when they come back, you got Jeff Allen hugging their neck. You know, it was obvious that there was a lot of love there. And I mean, when I go back, Jeff Allen, Jeremy Sell, all these guys, it's so great to see them. There's so much welcoming energy. When I walk through that facility, it's hard for me to quit smiling.
Right.
You know, so I think when recruits and parents of recruits see that, and it's not a show, you know, there's nothing inauthentic about it. It's hard to beat that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You know, you made a great point, man. And I know we've talked about this a few times, but it's the community that is Alabama, you know, that I've experienced in baseball. I met a guy the other day here at Fairhope Brewery, and we're talking, and he played baseball at Alabama, and he knows Dave Magadan. And I'm like, oh yeah, I met Dave Magadan on the field at Camden Yards. Great guy. Do you play with this guy? Yeah, I know him. You know, like there's a bond that we have. Like, you know, Jim Crawford and Crawdaddy and Jim Wells, and I mean, like it just goes back, dude. Like
if I go somewhere and I meet an Alabama fan and we start talking, we could talk forever about Alabama football and just memories that we share. That they bring up plays that I don't even remember, and you know, it's
take care of each other, man.
It's and y'all, I mean, you just become friends just over that.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got so many friends that I've met just randomly over Alabama football that are great people. And, you know, again, it's like when I say that when Dixieland Delight or Sweet Home Alabama comes on, you think about all those people and the network that you have from the state and just the memories you built, the bonds that you have. And there's a sense of pride when you hear it, you know, even if you have any kind of affiliation with Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know?
I love it, man. I guess that's, to me, it's like, that's why I don't understand this.
I mean, when you pull into Tuscaloosa, you roll by Archibald's. I mean, you're kind of like, you get a little excited, you know.
Oh, when I go up there to do my football show every week,
passing by the Fawnsdale.
Yeah, when I get it coming in through 69, I see my old neighborhood, and then I'm coming in like by Hooters. You know where Hooters is, Lowe's.
Yeah,
Hooters was one of my sponsors of my football show when I was in college.
Really?
Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. You're like a Alabama John Daly.
I went there for the wings. Now they sponsored the show. They were cool. Like I'm with you. I get such a great feeling there.
Going into industry and seeing.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm always going.
Oh yeah, Nick and Trip and all those guys.
So proud of Nick and Trip for years of service to the community. They get a shout out from me a lot.
It's the best atmosphere in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, you guys better remember me. Always hooking you up. I don't know. PK was there, but he left, so we can't talk about him anymore. Did you know him?
I don't know if I did or not.
But I'm with you, man. I guess somebody asked me this and I'll kind of throw it at you.
Wait,
and they said,
"What's PK stand for?"
I don't know. PK. He was like the third guy in charge.
Okay, I
it's
thought
like
you might have been talking about Peter Kern, but
no, I know him.
You know Peter?
Yeah.
Peter's
talking about smoking cigars.
He's great.
Yeah. That's part of the Innisfree crowd. Colin, my buddy Colin's always like, Peter Kern. He's probably been like, I'm tired of being introduced to Mick Gillispie.
Right. You want a cigar?
Yeah. I would I got one right there, by the way. I can't wait to smoke that guy. That's been sitting over here. I didn't want to smoke you out while I was in here. You're in here. Somebody asked me this. They said, do you think part of this is that Nick Saban used to really care about guys creating value for themselves? And have we created is creating value for yourself overlooking loyalty and legacy and commitment, dedication to the school that gave you a chance?
When you say creating value for yourself, are you saying that as a detriment to the thought process of a player in terms of them creating value with regard to their NIL value, or
he always talks about creating value, like he's got to create value, right? And I always looked at it as like in sports, like when you're on a team trying to motivate people to work hard, like what is it about what you're saying that's going to get them to do the things that they need to do to be successful? I mean, I see it in baseball. I see it in football. Like you talk about it in here, you say, I did everything they asked me to do, but then I realized that I needed to do everything they asked me to do and more.
Yeah.
Without them asking me, which if anyone's like got kids and they're teaching them how to play sports, or you're involved in a business, or you're looking for great advice, that's great advice.
Yeah.
Because that's true. It's not always doing the things that you're asked to do. It's doing the things you're asked to do and then going above that. If you want to be the best you can be, that's how you do it.
Yeah. I mean, the average guy, in my opinion, is the guy that shows up on time and does what he's told.
Right. Exactly. And Nick Saban's always like, well, you got to, we're going to try to create value. We're trying to help these guys create value. Now you've created value, but does he mean, Caleb Downs like decommitting and going or opting out with a transfer and going to Georgia or Ohio State?
That's not his intention. The intention in creating value is exactly what you and I mentioned. It's understanding what it takes to be the best and being the best that you can be. And that's being disciplined in what you eat, what you drink, how you're working out, how you're affecting people around you, and being a player that your coaches, teammates, staff are going to hate to see leave because what you brought to the table in terms of making the whole program better. He didn't even monetarily. That's not something. he didn't even think about money when he's talking about that. He's talking about the character of a person, the value that you bring to an organization, and again, are people going to miss you when you're gone?
Yeah, right.
NIL, I know that he's not a fan of that. I think everybody knows that he's not a fan of that. And not necessarily players being paid, but and I'm not. Here's another example. I don't know. I've never met Ryan Williams ever. I have no idea what he's about, and I understand he is trying to make the most money possible, or at least that's what it seems like to me. But I don't like the decommitment from Alabama as soon as Coach Saban leaves, and then make the comment that I'm waiting on one of these teams or programs to show me something, or I can't remember the exact wording, but, take that step out there and take the lead. And I mean, again, these teams offered you a scholarship. That's a huge promise. That's a big time commitment to a guy, just offering you a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
What are you expecting out of them? These coaches, they want you to come play for their program. They think highly of you. Obviously,
right.
They're putting they're putting you at the forefront of their livelihood. I guess you're just waiting on somebody to pay you the most.
I don't know.
What's the deal there?
Yeah.
You're asking grown men to come kiss the ring, I guess.
Yeah. I thought that
I don't understand that.
I thought the timing of that decommitment was disgusting.
I did too.
Honestly, I'd be honest with you. And I know he's a great young talent, and I still hope he comes to Alabama.
Well, it's almost just like,
but just come on, dude. You couldn't wait until the next morning.
It's just like, is it to prove a point? Like, and he may be the best guy in the world. I don't know. But
I know he's being pulled in 10 different directions, but come on, man.
And again,
bad look. It was just a bad look, man. It was just a bad look.
Yeah. When I was 18, I can tell you, I mean, if you brought up everything I did when I was 18, I could probably tell you, man, I was an idiot. I mean, I know I was an idiot when I was 18, and you make bad decisions not knowing how it looks or how it sounds or how it affects other people. But I just don't like this culture of treating people who are recruiting you, and obviously they want you really bad and to help you in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like you're toying with them. I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
And if it's all about the money, then that's even worse. I think you got to have long-term goals, long-term ideas. You got to have more to it than just a dollar amount. I mean,
well, money's a lot more than, what life's a lot more than just money.
Yeah.
I mean, but I don't know, man. Like,
but especially when you haven't played it down.
Yeah, right. I mean, we let it get there.
We
let it get there.
I've seen 4 and 5 stars that never touched the field.
I know, trust me.
We
let it get there.
And he looks great.
Yeah.
I played against some guys in high school that were the top guys in the country.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to them.
No.
So, I mean, to get where we've gotten, where you're offering this much money to an unproven product, just makes no sense to me.
There's a little part of you though that was glad that you were like kicking their ass.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt about it.
I know you well enough to know that.
Oh, yeah. Well, when you're one of the guys who has to grind it out all the time, and you hear
keep
people,
proving the doubters.
Yeah, keep hearing.
Hey,
people
you were Lankin before Lankin was a thing.
But when you're that guy constantly getting just beat down, and then you got some guy who, nobody's proven anything in high school.
Right.
I mean, you look good, you can run fast, you can jump high, but you hadn't proven a damn thing in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, this is why I couldn't be a college coach. I mean, if I was invited to go, and maybe, now that I think about it, my advice to DeBoer might be, don't let guys like me be around the recruits, because I'd tell them.
Yeah, right.
Like, if you lost your mind, it's just a different world now. I just don't get it. I mean, the leverage used to be, I'll just go to this other school, but now it's just become the highest bidder wins, and there's no guarantee you could leave the next year. But I guess as long as people are willing to fork it out, that'll be the case.
Yeah. Yep. And that's it, man. Until they come up with a set of rules that work. And they're going to keep getting sued until they figure something out.
Yeah.
But it is a disaster. It is a disaster. And we've been lucky because we've had the Saban Shield. We don't have that anymore, and it's not that fun.
It's not.
I don't like this. Can I just tell you, I don't like this.
It used to be fun that when you heard bad news, you just laughed because you're like, well, Coach Saban's there.
Yeah. Damn, that guy kept us from some bad news, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He may just be sitting in his office going, I told all these effers.
He's probably like, man, I'm glad I don't have to deal with this.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably goes into DeBoer's office and he's like, damn, I saw you lost another one. I'm going golfing. Come on, Sed, do you want to go? Yeah.
Sed's like, actually, I think I am going to retire.
Hey, a couple things before we get off here. Birmingham Stallions. I love pro football. I think it's cool that Birmingham has a football team, and that gives us our state like a pro football team. I hear from those guys on occasion, and definitely in their corner. Some Alabama guys going to be there. One of them is Bo Scarborough, so he'll be back.
Okay.
Guy you played with, you know him. Did you see his video where he's talking about Saban outrunning the police?
That story. Oh yeah.
Did you knew it already though?
Oh yeah. That's not the only one. He's done that a few times.
What do you think, Coach Saban? Now that he's out, like we're talking now. Now that you're not coach anymore, we're going to tell on you now. The Sabanator, man.
Yeah, Sed's told a few stories like that. Told me I hadn't heard him coach, but I was pulling.
He was the king, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, I was pulling into this. I was going to a golf tournament at North River. They had a bunch of old alumni come there and play, and where I was getting off on Rice Mine Road right off McFarland, and I pull up and I'm the first one in line, and a Mercedes pulls up to my right, and I look over and I couldn't see who was driving, and all of a sudden he's in the turn lane and light turns green. He just hauls ass right past me. And I was like, holy shit. I mean, just who the hell is this guy? And he's going about 60 and a 35. And I'm just like trying to keep up with him. And the thought is, I wonder if that's Coach Saban, And we pull up into the parking lot and he hops out. I was like, damn, Coach, you ain't worried about too many tickets, are you? He goes, I don't have to worry about those.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah,
you know what? In our state, that's just the way it is. And DeBoer, you win. You start winning some championships. You start putting some rings on some fingers. You can drive as fast as you want, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, man, I just hate what's going on, but I know that we're, like you said, it's gonna end up evening out, and things are gonna be all right.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Hey, we've been through it before. It's just been a long time.
Yeah, it's just when you were like, in third grade.
Yeah, well, all the way up until I was a freshman, it was pretty rough. Outside 05, freshman in high school.
Oh yeah, okay. All right. Well, that makes me feel a little better.
School in 07.
Makes me feel all right. Yeah. Okay.
Or up until I was a junior in high school.
Really? That makes me feel a lot more better.
Yeah. How old were you in 09?
09, I was I was covering Alabama. I think I worked for the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
So what, you were 30? No,
I was in my 20s.
Okay, I was about to say, yeah.
I was still a young man back then.
Well, because how are you now? 40? How old are you now?
Just throw it out there and see what you got.
You want me to guess?
Yeah.
43?
Yeah. So let's do the math.
Okay. So, yeah, you were...
Young 20s.
No, you were 29.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah, you were 29.
And it went by fast, dude. It was the best 17 years of my sports life.
Oh, I bet it was fun.
You should have seen it before, man. We went to all the games, and we would lose. I have to leave the stadiums, and hear people's bad jokes and talking shit.
Yeah.
Like Tennessee was always sucked losing there. People held it against us that Bear Bryant was good.
Oh yeah. Well, people, yeah.
And then we started crushing.
Always, people will never get tired of us losing. It's like us making fun of Tennessee for losing to us 16 years in a row.
I know they win one game, and it's the one that everybody talks about.
Oh yeah.
I can't even remember. I'll tell you what, though. Just my collection of cigar pictures up here. These are all from different Tennessee games, and then I got more. There's a whole nother palette of them over there. Like I've just got most of them are like me smoking cigars after Tennessee games. And then it just got to be where I was like, man, there's nowhere to put them anymore. But I went to all of them.
Yeah, you had 16 cigar pictures in 16 years.
Oh, that's the 09 one right there in the middle. Bricken and me standing out in front of the stadium after the Rocky block. That was one of the best games I've ever been to.
Oh, I bet.
It was great. A lot of bourbon that day.
That's one you never forget. Never forget Terrence Cody throwing his helmet off.
No. Mm-mm.
Who actually blocked that one? Was it
Terrence Cody?
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was Terrence
Twice.
Cody or Julio. Did Julio get a piece of one?
Maybe he did, but they blocked that kick twice. Maybe Julio got the first one.
Those are the picture. Julio's like way up there.
Yeah.
It's probably on one of these.
I only have championships in here. That's how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's the 09 one over there, but that's all beating Texas.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's wrap it up. We were supposed to go short today, and we've ended up going long. We stretched
Flies
it out.
by.
It does, man. It's fun. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up for the week?
Stay positive.
Yeah, you got to stay positive, man. Got to do that. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us on Roll Tide Pods, Elephant in the Room. And make sure that you comment. Want to hear from you guys. Like and follow. Brought to you by MyBookie. MyBookie.ag, up to $1,000 price, up to 50% on $1,000 price match with the promo code next round. The other way, right there. Great time though to have a little bit of fun and throw down maybe some parlays. I mean, I like parlays. NFL, take the Ravens against the Texans. Very Alabama-ish feel of this football game.
That's Derrick Henry will be there next year.
I hope so. On the Ravens, maybe he ends up with the Texans. But you got a great slate of NFL activity this weekend. You got NBA, college basketball, and more. You can do it all at mybookie.ag. And don't forget Lance's Lock if you need a little bit of help with those wagers. lanceslock.com. For Jake Coker, I'm Mick Gillispie. One more time for Elephant in the Room. Roll Tide, everybody.